Within 3 months, she made back another 20K just from doing that. And that immediately changed her psychology. It just takes one thing. Investing is making the little money you have, multiplying it. That's the easiest way for me to explain it to anyone. Doesn't matter what you are. It's saying, I have this money. I want to make that money work for me.
Yeah.
I don't have to do so much but make that money work for me. And there are different ways to invest your money to make it work for you.
Okay.
There are active ways, there are passive ways.
There are people who feel like they're too old to invest.
Oof,
and I've seen content of people who are in their 20s who've made so much money and they talk about how much they're making. For people who are in their 30s and 40s who have not started invested yet and are still thinking about doing this, what would be your advice?
Start today. Please start today. No one is ever too old to invest because you're making your money work for you. The reason why they even clamor that for you to start early is because of that the compounding of your money, right? The earlier you start, the more money you can amass at the end. Right. So it's so important. If you are feeling down, and that brings me to something I actually wanted to touch on as well, is we mentioned at the start, especially with our demographic, Black women. One, because, in our demographic, like, the men take care of everything. That's great. We want that. But then what are we doing for ourselves? And like, are we educating ourselves as well? Which is why, something I'm also looking to do next year as part of is like a community-based financial learning sessions for women, specifically for women, just to educate ourselves. How can we make our money work for us? How can we do? So it's very, very important to educate yourself. And going back to what we were saying just a second ago was like, oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
In terms of age, and if you're too old to invest.
Yes, if you feel too old to invest, first ask yourself, why do you feel too old to invest? What's actually, because I think it's more of a psychological thing rather than like them feeling like they don't have the capacity, or it's a psychological thing. Why do you think you're too old to invest? Look at the whys. What are you afraid of? What is tying you back from being able to go ahead and invest? What do you think you stand to lose by investing? Let's ask ourselves that question. What do you stand to lose? What do you stand to lose? What do you stand to gain? Because investing comes with risk. Let me just emphasize that. Investing comes with risks, but there's several ways to mitigate those risks.
Yeah.
Which I've already touched on massively, is like diversifying your portfolio. You stand to gain more than you stand to lose.
Yeah.
So it's really changing your mentality. Sometimes it's literally about rewarding certain things in our minds that really help us take the next step. And I think that also comes with education. Ask questions. A lot of people that are older do not like to ask questions. They feel like, I should know it, is the biggest killer in our demographic. You mentioned before, our parents don't ask anything. They know they don't know it,
and they don't want to ask anyone.
But they would not want to ask.
Yeah.
And I think, we take some of these things from them unknowingly, which is why it's very, very important to break those barriers and just ask.
Which
just
is
ask
also why when people grow old, you see the elderly in our community, they don't have as much. You'd see some other demographic, they go on retirement, they go traveling, they have these beautiful experiences.
Absolutely.
Whereas on our side, people are looking for some kind of support from the government. They rely on their mega pensions. That's even if they try to invest
in that, and that's also because they were not thinking long term.
Yeah.
Everything was short term. And that's what budgeting and saving would have fixed from the get-go. Because when you start to, at least what I have seen with people that I have supported, I would guess, in helping them, with their financial growth. I had someone who, had a session with, and she was like, I have this huge sum of money. I don't know what to do with it. And I was like, I end up spending it on ridiculous things just because the money is there. So I told her, I was like, put the money, what do you want to use the money for? Goes back to giving it a name. What do you think you would like to use this money for? Just think about, okay, I want to do this. And this is a very young person, by the way, in their early 20s, around 20 to 24. And they were earning a lot of money from doing social media, about like 20K plus.
Wow.
And they were like, I don't know what to do with this, and I'm just spending it. So I said, okay, start with saving. So we created sinking funds straight away. And then we created another account for emergency fund, 3 to 6 months worth of expenses already there straight. So now the excess that we had, put it into investments. Within 3 months, she made back another 20K just from doing that. And that immediately changed her psychology. It just takes one thing.
Can it be that significant?
Because it would depend on the
amount.
It depends on the amount and also the investments, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
But like, it's literally
great.
it's literally just by changing your, and I did not have that kind of money, but I was so excited and so happy to see that transformation. That even changed my own transformation. That even had a massive impact on me, myself. You know, and it was something that we looked at together. I was like, okay, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to put it into this, you know. And sometimes the investment doesn't have to be putting it into the stock market. The investment could be putting it into your education, investing in yourself. Your education, it could also be putting it into a business idea that you want to build. Obviously, you're not just going to throw everything because you've already put savings aside, right? And this is why these things are super important. And for someone in their 30s, ask yourself why. Do you want to be old and not have anything and be relying on your kids?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. That's the hard questions we need to throw back at our people. It's like, do you want to be grey and, you know, stressing your kids when they're trying to take care of their kids?
Oh God, that's another one. I'm just going to ask you 2 more questions.
Yes.
And then I know that you've shared so much. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
You just talked about wanting your kids to take care of you and I'm thinking about this idea of, again, back to our community, having to take care of your parents or having to take care of other people.
Yes.
And for people who live abroad, having to send money back home and all of that. How do you navigate that? I don't know if you deal with that, but I know a lot of people deal with that. Everyone probably would call you asking you for money because you live somewhere else. And because you probably people assume that you have a lot of money. How would you handle that?
That's beautiful. And that's definitely one of the things that the project that I mentioned earlier that I'm working on, that's one of the things that I would help with that. Not help in the sense of like define it.
Okay.
It would help to shed some light on it as to, one, why are you doing it in the first place? Because I think sometimes or at least let me speak for myself.
Okay.
Like, I don't like to overly generalize. I like to be quite specific. Is you have to understand why, because it's called black tax, by the way. It's like the tax that you put on your sending money back home and all of this. I do have some of that as well myself. But for me, I started doing it because it was like you were expected to do it.
Okay.
Because you're abroad, you should do it. You automatically have some money. Little do people know, I'm guessing people that really know me back home now realize that I didn't really have that money in uni when I come back home bearing so many gifts, you know? But I had to then, you know, take on more jobs and take on different things to be able to support that. But I had to then sit back and ask myself, like, why am I doing this in the first place? Am I really am I trying to please them and make them see that I have this money that I really do not have? Let's be honest with ourselves. We have to really be real. Am I seeing it as like, you know, why am I doing it? Am I doing it genuinely because I actually want to give back? Because that changes your motive behind how you know, also give that gift and how God blesses you. I always return this, you know, back to God. It's like, it really just changes your mindset of how you give. And then it helps you to filter who you should stop giving to. Not that you should not give at all, but it really helps you to determine who actually needs it the most. And for me, I think the next step to that is then determining, am I enabling their bad behavior?
So what would we call bad behavior here?
When you just give, it becomes an expectation and they don't make any effort to actually help themselves.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by bad behavior. So now you have to think, like, when you can always get something from somewhere, you don't learn to fish yourself. So that was actually what gave birth to the career/financial lifestyle project that I'm working on. It was a thing where in recent years, I've been helping, giving, because I want to as well.
Yeah.
Not because I'm being forced to, because I genuinely want to. But I started thinking to myself, instead of just giving, why don't I teach them how to fish? Why don't I give them the tools? Because the best case scenario would be because when there's so much wealth disparity, oftentimes it breeds envy and it breeds expectation, unnecessary expectation. So what one needs to do is then, okay, if you teach them how to fish and everyone is sort of at par, we're Africans, we like to show off.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But then if everyone can show off at relatively the same kind of level, it's beautiful because no one is feeling, no one is having ill feelings towards the other person. And it's such a big thing that's plaguing our community massively. So if we start to shift our mindset to how can I help this person to fish? It starts to shift their mindset as well to do more for themselves and their own families. And when they are able to take care of themselves and their own families, there's less dependency on you. You can enjoy more of your own money.
Wow.
That's the way, at least that's the way I tackle it, and that's the way I approach it. So it's thinking about your own specific scenario. And sometimes you just have to let people know this is what it is. There's no shame in saying I don't have this right now. There's absolutely no shame when you don't have it because of thinking, I just can't let this person know.
Yeah.
What? There's no...
Or maybe just also, I think it's some part of one of the things you shared, and I also saw it, listened to other people who shared the same ideas, just budgets, a specific amount.
Absolutely. It's part of the budget.
And when it's
a sinking fund.
When it's exhausted, that's it.
It is a sinking fund. So when they call on you, there's an account that you just take. And if it's a specific amount that is there, that is what you can afford. And God sees your heart. That's what you can do. And that's all that matters.
Sometimes people just end up draining themselves because it's tough.
But for me, I blame them because then you're trying to show off, whether you want to believe it or not.
Yeah, I think it gets to a point where it's also borderline people pleasing.
That's exactly it. Maybe not showing off is the word. People pleasing.
Yeah,
it is people pleasing. And as a chronic, as a recovering people pleaser myself, still recovering massively. It's important to know. It's important to identify what is my own fault in this as well. Have I just overly enabled these people to the point where it's just an expectation that now they're not even thinking of how it possibly is affecting me?
I think a lot of the receivers never really think about the giver.
Yeah. Because the giver never says anything.
In this context. Because I saw somewhere where someone said that givers should have limits because people who receive do not. Takers don't.
Yes.
And I've also come to realize that, people don't really think about you as much as you do.
No, they don't.
Everyone's thinking about themselves, so they would rather just receive.
They don't. Yeah.
And this has been really interesting.